Welcome to FC3 Homes, the revolutionary solution for elderly housing and long-term care that addresses the critical issues of costs, quality care, and the ultimate protection for the elderly, families, and society. Don't go into a nursing home. There's actually a way to get free elderly care and even make money. Have you considered or planned for the long-term care for an elderly parent or relative or for yourself? There are over 1.5 billion people who are 50 years old in the world today. That's the equivalent of the entire world's population in 1901. Today in the United States, there are over 17 million people between 70 and 74 years old, the critical years that will determine the quality of a person's so-called senior years. Of course, it's very expensive to stay in a nursing home or assisted living facility, and the care may not be good, or the facility and care may be even bad. Or to get private care at home is not ideal if the caregiver is not trained, competent, compassionate, or caring. And you might consider yourself lucky if you can find someone at all and at a reasonable rate. There is a solution. It's called the FC3 Home, your FC3 Home. What is an FC3 Home? Fundamentally, the FC3 Home concept is the system of a house owned by an elderly person or his or her family and making it a home that is licensed by state, local authorities to be able to provide professional caregiving up to skilled nursing. The licensing process for an FC3 home is meant to be expedited and readily operational for the approval of authorities because it is a small facility, only 3 cared for instead of the typical 6 or more, with a very favorable ratios of caregiver to cared for, while easily meeting other licensing facility and financial requirements. For the elderly owner of an FC3 home, he or she can age in place, receive high-quality care, minimize costs of any institutional care, and in fact can have the opportunity to receive continuing monthly income in their home that is kept up in maintenance and would accrue maximized real estate appreciation to the monetary benefit of the aged person's family, beneficiaries, or estate. What is the ideal property for an FC3 home? An ideal house for FC3 is optimally at least 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, or can be added on, especially with an ADU, accessory dwelling unit, or one of the common areas converted to a legal bedroom. The larger or more rooms, the better, although very large homes are not necessary or even optimal for purposes of being homely. The ideal house can be converted or upgraded with minor modifications to maximize health, safety, and comfort for all residents that should not be costly or difficult to achieve. Basic state licensing regulations regarding the physical layout and specifications will have to be met. While the FC3 home is ideally a 1-story structure, even a 2-story house can be adapted for safety and convenience. What is the first step? The first initial discussion or decision for the elderly, the family, advisors for an FC3 home potential. The team for F3 potential conversion starts, of course, with the elderly person who should be of sound mind and body, as well as the immediate or extended family, who would be typically children or the other spouse if alive. Also giving input and advice would be professional counselors, such as lawyers, primary physicians, or a healthcare professional, as well as perhaps an accountant or tax advisor. There might be a realtor involved if property acquisition or the leasing or exchange of property is necessary. This starting point of the base team of decision makers for a potential FC3 home will be all the facts and figures, the options for current and future care, as well as any estate planning that might already be in place or amended with a consensus and the final decision of the aging person, himself or herself. The decision need not be immediate or founded on an inflexible plan going forward. The FC3 home is not for everyone, and a decision is not just on the pluses and any minuses, but based ultimately on personal desires. Who is the licensing and property development team for an FC3 home? Once the final go-ahead and consensus among the elderly aging person, any family members or professional advisors are given, it's time to assemble the FC3 Home Licensing and Development Team. The FC3 Home Licensing Team will require a specialist with expertise in the state licensing process that will include the creation of a license application and the program to go along with all the necessary documents to go forward. There will also necessarily be trade contractors involved, unless only very few modifications of the house are needed, or only cosmetics, and only involve minor fix-ups or upgrades or repairs. The FC3 license application and program will include the FC3 Home's financials, personnel staffing, daily operations, logistics, and subjects such as food, activities, and special care policies, as well as the physical plant, which shows how the home is safe and functional. Any renovations, upgrades, or additions to comply with codes and licensing in general will be included in the so-called physical plant details. The job specifications of the care staff must be developed. The recruitment of the ideal or most qualified candidates for care staff will be started. How to complete the state licensing and startup process for an FC3 home. Once the FC3 home licensing application and facility program is submitted, the calendar begins to mark the completed steps and sequential or major milestones for licensing approval and the start of the FC3 home business operations. The requirements for building upgrades or modifications are typically the ones to focus on, with the coordination of the vetted and chosen licensed contractors that will comply with both local building authorities as well as state licensing. Financial requirements such as seasoned funds in the bank for at least 3 to 6 months are also attended to. The FC3 home will have an FC3 home facility program that includes meals and other essential services, optional services specified in the admission agreements, as well as a personnel report that outlines who will be the staff and or caregivers. The FC3 home has the advantage of being small but potentially networked. State licensing will also require training, certification for an administrator and or licensee who is the legal entity responsible for operations and compliance with laws and regulations. The licensee can be a sole proprietor or, for optimal legal protection, a limited liability company or small corporation. Now let's go through the elderly owner's care benefits with an FC3 home. Number 1. Professional care mandated by law and best practices. Number 2. Caregiver staff will have optimal and continuous training. Number 3. The elderly will get assistance with all ADLs, activities for daily living. Number 4. There will be assistance with any medications. Number 5. There will be regular communications with family members and the elderly. Number 6. There will be regular visits from community advocates such as ombudsman personnel. Number 7. There will be full documentation of health history and health plans. Number 8. There will be healthy meals and special diets provided. Number 9. There will be activities for stimulation, entertainment, and learning. And number 10. There will be immediate responses to any emergency, incidents, or situation. Now, what are the elderly owner's social benefits with an FC3 home? Number one, companionship is part of daily living in the FC3 home setup. Number two, social activities are integrally part of FC3. Number three, the elderly has full privacy but never left alone or isolated. Number four, there is a familiar home environment of mementos and layout. Number five, caregiving is based on social needs and empowerment. Number six, community involvement is through FC3 home programs. Number seven, lifelong learning and wisdom sharing are built into the FC3 home program. Number eight, there is a use of technology to facilitate communications with the outside world, especially the family. Number nine, if desired, spiritual or religious practices are encouraged and supported. And number 10, the recruitment and retention of compassionate and competent care staff is focused on. Now, how about the elderly owner's family's benefits and advantages with an FC3 home? Number one, the family will have peace of mind regarding the elderly loved one's overall care and happiness. Number two, the family will always have the ability to check on the health and safety of the elderly loved one. Number three, the family can be fully confident that specific medical and personal appointments are fulfilled and followed up on. Number four, the family can have direct input or suggestions for care staff to follow, implement, or consider. Number five, the family can participate in the social activities of the elderly loved one as coordinated by care staff. Number six, the family can monitor and make sure that the elderly loved one's finances are safeguarded. Number six, the family can save on long-term care costs for the elderly loved one that may have been the family's responsibility. Number eight, there is a protection of the elderly loved one's estate that may have otherwise been compromised in terms of inheritances and bequeaths. Number nine, the family can avail of the FC3 home template and infrastructures for others in the family or for an individual. Number 10, the family is given flexibility in the planning and implementation of the family's care for all members. Now, how to maintain quality, profitability, and sustainability of an FC3 home? After the start of full operations of the FC3 home, the program will be followed, customized, and refined with the objective of full compliance with state licensing and according to the desires of the elderly homeowner and his or her family. The FC3 home culture and infrastructure focus on the quality of the staff and caregivers that is part of the mission and deep values of the core FC3 program, always finding the very best staff and caregivers who are trained, competent, and are compassionate and ready to always help. Over the long term, as long as the aging homeowner is stable and health and functionality enhanced by the quality of care always emphasized while aging in place, the specific FC3 home will be sustainable. Benefits such as low cost or free professional care and potential extra income and the upkeep of the house itself will accrue over time. Now for some Q&A, questions and answers regarding an FC3 home. Question: how does an elderly homeowner or a family of an elderly loved one start an FC3 home? Answer: first of all, there has to be someone in the family or yourself in need of elderly care, either now or in the near future. There must be consideration in how to receive and pay for elderly care that is sustainable and best for the family's financial needs at the present and for the future. There must be a consensus to look into an FC3 home. Question: do we, the elderly loved one or family, have to own a home? Answer: while ideal to own a house that is amenable to become an FC3 home, there are many ways to lease, purchase, or exchange into a suitable FC3 property. The fastest way to start the FC3 home process is to own a suitable property that can be licensed to be an FC3 home. Question: how do we make sure our home or the house we get is qualified for an FC3 home? Answer: an FC3 home consultant will give a full presentation of the FC3 home system and evaluate your elderly care situation and assess if your house is suitable for an FC3 home or if there could be any potential lease, purchase, or exchange into a suitable FC3 home property. Question: are there upfront fees or is there free consultation? Answer: there are no upfront or initial consultation fees. If there is the family or elderly homeowner decision to go forward after a thorough assessment and consultation with the family's lawyer, accountant, financial planner, etc., all fees, such as the licensing program creation, will be itemized. For any necessary property upgrades, there will be transparent bidding by qualified and approved contractors. Question: how long does it take for an FC3 home to get up and operating? Answer: state licensing typically takes up to 15 months or more. But with FC3 homes being streamlined and much smaller than the smallest RCFE home of 6 residents, there could be an expedited process. The target start of care and operations will be 9 to 12 months, hopefully less. Question: what if we already have an elderly loved one in a nursing home or assisted living facility, or our loved one is handicapped or has dementia such as Alzheimer's? Answer: the initial free consultation will cover any special situations or scenarios that might be solvable with a transition into an FC3 home ownership or residency, with full consideration of finances and quality of care. Now for some final thoughts. FC3 homes involve some complex processes that the FC3 home consultant will handle. The potential outcome is the great reality of aging in place that is best for the elderly and the family. Contact an FC3 home consultant today for a free consultation. There is information in the description of this video. Thank you.